This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell, and I'm thrilled that you are with me again today. And I'm going to continue this series in this, what I would call a transformative book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And if you missed the last episode, we started with the first habit, be proactive. Right, we explored like taking responsibility for our actions and focusing on what we can control, right? But today I want to go into the second habit, and actually I'm going to continue it. It seemed kind of silly to me at first, but it's all about getting things done, right? I'm actually in my truck, and I checked with my audio editor, and he actually said the audio was pretty good. So I was concerned about would the quality be okay. So I'm going to continue when I'm traveling. Sometimes this is a great way for me to share with you things I'm learning and books that I'm reading. And this is a book I shared in the last episode that I feel like it's one I should just read every year. And it's been a long time since I've read it the first time. And somebody, a guy that works for me, brought it up to me that he was reading it. And I thought, I need to go back through that book again because it's just timeless lessons in there, and I'm actually giving it to a few people now, and even encouraging my boys to start reading it soon, even as young as they are, because I want us to be able to just talk about these habits. And so but today we're moving on to the second habit, and we're going to begin with the end in mind. And this habit's just all about having a clear vision, right? Do you know what the outcomes are you're looking for? And setting a just definitive course, right, for your life, your career, whatever it may be. And whether you're it's focused on real estate or whether you're a seasoned investor or brand new or understanding and implementing this habit just could have a profound impact on your journey to success. And when I say some of the things and a lot of what we're going to discuss today could be applied to you, whether like I said, whether you're a professional, whether you're experienced or not, but to also different parts of your life, right? And I'm going to give you some examples later, but not just your professional life, your career, but also your personal life. And I'm going to share some ways that I have done that, and it has helped me tremendously. So why is it important to begin with the end in mind? Having that clear vision, right? Specific goals that provides that direction, that purpose for us, helps us to stay focused and helps us to stay focused on what's truly important, right? And navigate challenges. Things come at us, we get distracted, right? And if we are thinking through some of these things and specific goals, and we're going to talk about that too, even in more detail. If we have those things laid out, then it's much easier for us to stay focused and keep aligned with our long-term objectives. So in real estate, this could mean anything from defining our investment strategy, right, to setting clear milestones, developing a personal mission statement, and all those things are going to guide our daily actions that are going to lead us to success. And I can think of so many times where I haven't done this and it's not led to great things, right? Most of you have heard the story of the triplexes I bought many years ago. My first piece of real estate that I ever purchased, and the mistakes made, and I didn't have the end in mind, right? And it really caught up with me to some very hard lessons. So when you begin with the end in mind, you're creating a roadmap, right? You're creating a map to know where you're trying to go, and then you can actually visualize where you want to be and what you need to do to get there. So it's a proactive approach, right? It not only keeps you motivated, but it also helps you to prioritize your time, and your resources effectively, which is very difficult to do, especially if you don't have a roadmap focused on and pointed to where you're trying to go, right? It's about living and working with a clear sense of purpose, direction, and it's just essential in our industry, and especially as dynamic and competitive as real estate is. So during this episode, I'm just going to discuss a number of things and how to create even a personal mission statement. We'll talk about a little bit, and even setting and achieving goals. So I want you to have some practical things that you can put into place after today's episode. And so let's jump in. So this habit's all about just understanding what you truly want in life and making a conscious effort to achieving it. And so what does it mean to begin with the end in mind? And at its core, it's a habit about having that clear vision, desired outcomes, right? It's about knowing where you want to go before you even start the journey. And it seems crazy to some, right? But you don't just take off on a trip, right? On a road trip and not have a destination in mind, or most people don't anyway. And so, and it's similar to life, right? Your career or your family as well. And just having that clear vision helps you stay on track and ensures that your actions are aligned with those ultimate goals. So one of the most powerful tools for beginning with the end in mind is creating a personal mission statement. And a mission statement, it's a written declaration of your core values, your goals. It serves as a guide for making decisions and taking actions that are just in harmony with your vision, right? And your mission statement should reflect what you want to be, what you want to do, and the principles by which you live by. It's like a personal constitution that keeps you grounded and focused. And I want to mention if you listen to show 2001, I think with Lloyd Reeb, man, I encourage you to go back and listen to that if you didn't. He has been an amazing mentor of mine, and one thing he's helped me to lay out is what we call our 100X roadmap. And in working with him, 100X, we're not talking about 100Xing our net worth or our real estate portfolio, but things that are much more important than that. And it's 100Xing our impact and our giving and our ways that we're impacting others for the Lord and for good and not just our personal balance sheet. And so, but I think we talked about the 100X roadmap a little bit there. But one thing he helped me with on that roadmap is laying out a mission statement, right? A personal mission statement, even a family mission statement, and thinking through 5 areas of impact for your life long term. And another thing that I think we talked about in that episode, and I may have mentioned in the last show, is that he asked me that question about your perfect life metrics. And he was that mentor that said that, and it's like we're sitting on a bench when I'm 80 years old, and he says, Whitney, how was it? Right? And I say, well, it was perfect. And he said, well, what made it perfect? And you write down those things. And when I thought through that the first time, I realized that, and I knew this, but it's helpful to write these things down. I realized that there was nothing financial on there. It wasn't that my business exploded. It wasn't that I made a certain amount of money. No, it was all relationship driven, right? My relationship with the Lord, my relationship with my family, all those things that are so much more important. We claim we're working for those things, but often, man, they really take a back seat. And so I just stress to you, as you are setting these goals, I hope that you're keeping your family and your walk with the Lord or in mind, right? Because those are the things that are the most important and are going to bring more satisfaction than any amount of money. So let's talk about the role of visualization in achieving your goals. And this is something that I hear lots of entrepreneurs talking about. They visualize, just the process of creating, right? Or the mental image of their desired outcomes. They just think about it every day. They're getting up and they're thinking about it, and they have vision boards and they have pictures on their walls and things like that. And I've heard, it's a powerful technique, right? It's used by so many and lots of different fields, and visualizing your goals and this, I think there are helpful things around this, right? It helps you to create this maybe a clearer picture, and so you have that in mind, and it's a mental image that helps you to focus on your efforts, right? And boost your motivation, keeps you aligned with the objectives, all those things, and it's claimed that it activates, right, a subconscious mind, and then it starts working towards making this vision a reality. Right. And it also helps, it helps you with a positive mindset. I can understand some of that. I just want to pause for a minute there to say, wait a minute, I truly believe that the Lord is in charge of our, of every day. And, me just thinking about a big home, or me just thinking about, whatever, a fancy vehicle, whatever that thing is you're dreaming about, which that is not what I'm dreaming about. but unfortunately, a lot of people that is what they're dreaming about. But if that's all, if you're just thinking about it, it's not just going to come about because you're thinking about it, right? I just completely rely on the Lord for those things, and I don't believe me visualizing those things that are going to make them a reality. However, some of those things I can understand that are talked about in the book in this chapter, or in this under this habit, around how it helps you to stay motivated, helps make sure you're aligned with your objectives, helps you not to get too sidetracked or shiny object syndrome. I can definitely relate to some of those things. So maybe some examples, though, too, that I've heard of, and definitely one very notable one that you may have heard of as well is Olympic athletes, right? Many athletes use visualization techniques as part of their training programs, and they just mentally rehearse their performances and visualize just every detail of their routine. And it does help improve their performance and their focus and all that. And I can relate to that as well. At different speaking engagements that I've had to do in front of large audiences, I have rehearsed it mentally for days and weeks ahead of time, and it's helped me to, I think, perform better. I do, and because you get up there and you kind of do it as you have thought about it, right, over and over and over again, and so I can definitely relate to that. Another is Oprah Winfrey. I know she has spoken about this often, just the power of visualizing different things in her life, and now as successful as she is, and she visualized a lot of these things long before she ever achieved them. Well, and I bet that they weren't exactly like it is now, right? But there were things, maybe similar things. And so just by consistently picturing yourself maybe as a successful talk show host, right, like her, maybe you'll do that as well. Or maybe in our case, it's, something about real estate or whatever. But I hope that you're dependent on the Lord and your future and what happens there. But I do believe that parts of visualizing, your performance and what you're going to do, it can be very helpful. And so just, you can imagine closing on that big deal, right? Or successfully managing a large portfolio or just leading teams, things like that. That could be helpful. But to summarize, beginning with the end in mind, it's having that clear vision, right? So of those desired outcomes, and also work on creating this personal mission statement. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but using this visualization to achieve goals and just the practices to help you stay focused and motivated and aligned with your long-term objectives, which we've talked about. So think about what your personal mission statement might include, and you need to think through, like, what are your core values, what are your goals, how can you visualize them, but how also, can you set these goals that are helping you to stay on track, right? And so let's talk through some of that about the importance of having a clear vision. So I just think it's crucial in our industry and in any business, and especially as dynamic and unpredictable as real estate can be sometimes. Without a clear vision, it's easy to get lost in the daily grind, and it causes us to be reactive, right? Without just a long-term strategy, we're just reactive. And we talked about that in the last segment or last episode quite a bit. But this clear vision just acts as like our guiding star, right? And it helps us to stay focused and thinking about our goals, our ultimate goals. And even when we're, different things come at us, right? It helps us to stay on track. So this clear vision allows us to even set better long-term goals. And, if your vision is to, say, become a leading real estate investor for your region or maybe your local town, you can set specific milestones, right, to achieve these goals. So, such as maybe acquiring a number of properties or developing a niche market or an expertise. And your vision. Similarly, this vision is going to include just personal growth, right? Like becoming a thought leader in real estate, right? You might set goals related to public speaking or social media or writing or books or things like that, or networking with specific leaders in our industry as well. and these long-term goals, and they're going to become a roadmap that just ensuring your daily actions are contributing to this overall vision. And that goes back to what I've talked about often on the show, is that consistent daily actions. Man, it matters so much what you do every day. And it's those consistent daily things that add up to big things later on. And if you don't have that clear vision of where you're going, you're not going to know what you need to be doing on a daily basis. So how do you create a personal mission statement? And it's such a powerful tool, and it should guide your decisions, your actions. It helps you stay aligned with your core values, right? Your long-term vision. And let's talk about a few steps. And so, of course, I've had to go through these. And let me just tell you, it's not like a very simple thing, but it is so important. It's worth spending the time on. So first, let's reflect on your core values. Do you have core values? And I bet very few of you listening have like personal core values. And even as a business, it was a long time before we really had good core values, or we really laid them out. And then it was even a longer time before we presented them to our team. It's so important, because those end up being things that you hire by, you fire by. It guides you, directs you, right? And we're not going to be able to come up with a mission statement without our core values. Right. And then even as a family, right, we want a family mission statement as well. And that means, guess what? That means we need family core values. And maybe I'll do another segment on that if enough of you reach out and say, hey, we'd love to hear that, how we do that as a family as well. But let's reflect on our core values, and let's start by identifying what truly matters to you, right? What principles guide your life? What are you passionate about? Your passions, your strengths, and then reflecting on some of these questions are going to help you understand your core values. Maybe you need to invite somebody else in to this conversation as well, or this thought process. Maybe hopefully a spouse, right? Hopefully, your spouse can be involved when you're creating your personal mission statement. So now, define your purpose. Right? Think about your long-term aspirations and what do you want to achieve in your life, your career? All right? What legacy do you want to leave behind? And it's such a big question. It's so worthy of the time to spend thinking about it and actually start writing things down. And so now let's draft a mission statement. We should be thinking about this as well. Right? We're going to combine those core values and purpose into a clear and concise statement. So your mission statement should inspire and motivate you. So it's providing that sense of direction and purpose. So, and then then you go through a revision and refining process, and we're going to review your mission statement regularly and make adjustments, right, as needed. So it's something that I created, and then I find I have to make myself, or I have to schedule time then. Let's say I want to do it every 3 months or 6 months. I'm going to go back to that roadmap that I've created that has these things on it, and then I want to reread them. Or I may, on a date night with my wife, yes, we'll talk about these things oftentimes on a date because it involves her in a big way. I want her to be involved, right? Because it affects her in a massive way. What my personal mission statement is, it affects her in a big way, and I want her to be able to speak in. She knows my strengths and weaknesses better than I do, I think, most of the time. And so we want to review this mission statement regularly, and we want to make those adjustments. And because as you grow, as you change and you learn, guess what? This mission statement's going to reflect those changes as well. So aligning your actions with your mission is just crucial. And it's those daily actions, right? They need to be in sync with this mission statement. You're more likely to achieve your goals and feel fulfilled. It just ensures you're not just busy, right, and productive, but productive and purposeful. We want to be productive and purposeful, and that busy work. Emails can just take too much of my time, and it can feel kind of good, like I'm getting something done, but you know what? It's not always productive or purposeful. So now, what about some goal setting techniques? So, in one effective method I've used, and I've actually sent out things about this in the past, it's called SMART goals, right? Some of you may have heard of this. I'll go through this part quickly, but in case you haven't, I want to elaborate on what this means a little bit. because it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. Specific, so your goals should be clear and specific. Instead of saying, I want to be successful in real estate, right? Define what success looks like to you. For example, I want to acquire 3 multifamily properties within 2 years, or just lay out some specific things, right? And so it's it's not just this big thing in the sky. It's no, you can see it. And the next thing, the M, right, is measurable. And we want to ensure these goals can be measured. Right? It helps you to track progress, which is so important to stay motivated. You want to be able to see that progress. That's why those milestones we talked about are important as well. And so, for example, I want to increase my portfolio's net worth by $500,000, right? There's something measurable. And so we want it to be achievable. Set a realistic goal. I hear all the time people say, I want to make, $100 million in the next 2 years. It's just not very realistic or attainable, right? It's important to challenge yourself, which I am all about. I'm all about setting big goals and people pushing on my vision and my goals. And man, I know oftentimes I've been so small-minded, and I get in rooms of people that are way ahead of me all the time. I try to anyway. And they stretch me, right? And they help me to see, wait a minute. You know what? If you guys can do this, and gals, I can do this too. But I also hear people set goals oftentimes that are not just not achievable. They're not realistic, and so they need to be somewhat within reach. And so also I think there's a thing Tony Robbins talks about, 50-50 goals. It's been so many years since I've read that. I mean, it's kind of like you say, if you're going to make $100 million in the next 2 years, that's your goal, and you made $50 million, is it still achieved? Well, I would say so. It's an amazing success, right? But that's just one example. Of course, you're setting a big goal. There's so many things around that setting big goals changes the way you think. I talked about that in the last episode as well, by doing 7 days a week on a podcast for so long versus weekly. It made me think differently about how I was going to achieve that goal. So there's definitely positive things around setting really big goals, but we want to make sure that they are attainable. So we want them to be relevant. Your goals should align with your mission, right? Which we've been talking about in your long-term vision. They should be meaningful and just have a significant impact on your overall objectives. So, does this goal have an impact on you, right? Is it making a significant impact or improvement towards your objectives? And so, and also, is this goal time-bound? That's the last one. So set a deadline. And so these goals, there's a sense of urgency, right? And it helps you to stay focused. It definitely helps me. If you said, okay, for example, I want to achieve a 10% return on investment within the next 12 months, right? There's something that's time bound there. And so I'll often set rocks, right? Which are quarterly goals. But I'll also put in milestones. And so I try to encourage our team to do this too and say, okay, within 2 weeks, this needs to happen. And 2 more weeks, this needs to happen. Or by the next, 3 weeks after that. And it puts things time bound in there. The overall goal is, but then also there's shorter hurdles in there that are time bound as well, right? And of course, that's a very short goal. Short term. However, if I'm thinking about a long-term goal, even 12 months or 5 years or 10 years, or I'm gonna go through the same process and reverse engineer and putting those hurdles in there so I can think through what needs to happen this year down to, okay, what do I need to be doing this month, right? And then I can even get further down. But again, before I move on, I just want to stress this takes time, but it is worth setting the time aside to do this. So you know where you're going, right? You're setting that destination out there. So it is essential to just determine between long-term, short-term goals and just thinking about the big picture stuff, right? Like owning a large portfolio worth however many millions, right? Versus short-term goals that are going to get you down to actionable steps like we talked about, right? So review it regularly, adjust your goals, just often, right? You want to be looking at these goals. And I have my 100X roadmap. It's a big sheet of paper. It's not just a little one. It's a big one that's up on my wall. I can read it from my desk. And so that way, throughout the day, I can be even looking up there and thinking, oh, what have I done on this area of my life, lately, right? But ultimately, it's helpful to set time aside to actually do that and review progress, right? And then you want to celebrate achievements. And you want to celebrate when you've actually hit these goals, when you've done it, right? And I would encourage you to bring your spouse in on that and celebrate with them, or your family, your kids even. I love getting my kids involved in this stuff too. And then seeing them start to set goals for themselves. I've seen this happen with my kids, or my boys right now. They're older. And my oldest son, he told me earlier in the year, like, I did not prompt him at all about this. And he just came up and said he wanted to make $1,000 this summer. He's 11 years old. I don't know where he got that number from, but he did. He came up with that number, and he has been working really hard to try to make that happen. I've been encouraged watching him do this, but I've given him work, right? I mean, he weed eats fence rows. He does lots of work around the farm that needs to be done anyway, right? And I would be doing it myself, but I would love to pay him a little bit to do it and watch him work and earn. And another side note here while I'm on it. I hope that you saw that I put out a kid-friendly investment plan that I came up with. If you would like to have that, I hope that you'll reach out. And actually, we could put a link to this in the show notes, but or you can email us info@LifeBridge Capital. But it's been really popular. We put it out in a few newsletters. If you're not getting our newsletter, please go to LifeBridge Capital, sign up for our newsletter. We're putting a lot more work into that lately and adding more value to you. But it's short, it's concise, and it will add value to you. So, all right. So to wrap up this part of it, just remember that creating this personal mission statement and setting smart goals are just essential, and that's going to help us to begin, guess what, with the end in mind. So reflect on your core values and define your purpose, and just set those specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. And then let's review them often. All right, so let's just take a moment and we'll recap a few things as we begin with the end in mind in today's segment. So, first we explored just this habit and how it emphasizes the importance of having that clear vision, right? And just the vision of your desired outcomes. So by knowing where you want to go, you can just make intentional decisions that align with your long-term goals. So we discussed the significance of creating a personal mission statement. And this statement reflects your core values, right, and your purpose. So you create a purpose statement as well. A lot of people do that. And this serves as a guiding star for our actions and decisions. We talked through a number of steps just to develop this mission statement, and we even highlighted just the importance of these, of how it aligns to our daily actions, and it's a big deal. So we dove into SMART goals. I won't go back through those again, but it's so helpful. You lay out these goals and then think through the SMART acronym, so you know that you're actually striving towards something, right? It's not just some big pie in the sky thing that's not measurable. You don't even know if you're getting anywhere. And guess what? That may sound good in the moment, but it's not motivating when things are thrown at you. You need them to be measurable. You need them to be attainable, relevant, time bound, and specific. So you can know you're getting there, right? And then you can adjust as well easier. So looking ahead, I'm going to dive into habit 3 next, and we're going to talk about putting first things first, because that is also so important when we're talking about prioritizing just most important tasks and focusing on truly what matters. And there's going to be a number of things I'm going to talk about under that as well. So, but before we go, I also wanted to highlight, hey, this 100X roadmap that I was talking about, you can create this roadmap for yourself, right? Think through the 5 areas of your life that you want to have the most impact. Okay, this is not rocket science. However, most people do not do it because it takes time, and it takes thinking time. It's important time. It's hard work on your mind, on your brain, because it's outside of just the busyness, right, that we all want to be drawn to, or social media, or whatever it may be. And so you can lay out your mission statement, your purpose statement, and then think about 5 areas of your life that you want to have a big impact in, right? And for me, and I'll go ahead and tell you a couple of them. Obviously, it's my first one is my wife. I want to be very focused on our relationship. And then my family, my kids, right? I want to be very focused on relationships with each of my children. And then maybe, obviously our business and our nonprofit, the foundation, right? Be kind of one there. But then I also want areas of fun too, like horses is one of mine as well. And I don't have it in front of me this moment, but I could tell you most of it. But horses is one where, I get to interact with a lot of other people, and it's something I'm passionate about, and I can teach other people even horsemanship skills and help them with their horses. And it's a way to build friendships, but it's also just a way to give back and to care about other people and do something with my boys. And that reminds me of something else. Lloyd always talks about getting 2 firsts or 3 firsts. So think about these things you're passionate about, right? And so in our case, guess what? I'm passionate about owning real estate, right? Well, maybe I could find people that love real estate, but also love riding horses, right? Well, then all of a sudden that's a twofer. I'm getting 2 of those areas at the same time, right? I'm getting to network and meet people that love real estate. Well, guess what? What if I brought my boys along at the same time? Well, now there's 3 of those areas of impact happening at the same time. You see that? So, or a trip that I take my wife and my kids on, and we go learn about real estate. Now, there's lots of things that are happening in there, right? Or we give back towards the foundation, towards helping families adopt, right, as a family. Well, now there's all kinds of things happening at the same time. And so that are all in areas of impact that I've laid out. So all right. Well, I hope that this has been inspirational to you. I hope that you are thinking about your mission statement and your core values and creating smart goals, but it's all to help you to begin with the end in mind. Right? And I just stress to you, you need to take time to think through these things. And at the business level, at the personal level, and at the family level. Again, if you would love to hear more about how I do that with my family, I would encourage you to email us at info@lifebridgecapital.com. You can also learn more at whitneysewell.com. You can follow me there, and I'm putting out more just personal content on how we do those things. I want to help other men to be just great men in their homes, and lead their families well, their children well, because I'm just passionate about that. Not that I have it figured out, but I'm trying, and I want to bring others along with me. And that's whitneysewell.com. Have a blessed day.